Hola! I am back! Welcome to Spitball Media Podcast. Shah is taking the night off, but I am back. We're here. Welcome to our weekly entertainment podcast, coming at you each and every week live on the old YouTube. And of course, we're podcasting. My name is John Draper, and I'm joined by the legendary B-Show Brian. B-Show Brian, how are you?
I'm only legendary because my shadow weighs like 26 pounds. No, let's not get it twisted here. I'm not famous.
You look a little you look pale. You look like you need a little sun.
Do I?
Your cheeks look not, rosiness, Tim. I want to see some rosiness. I want
Maybe
to see
it's the
some
lights.
rosy.
I don't
It
look
could
like
be.
Father Christmas.
No. I've got about 2 weeks back of not shaving, but this is, now that it's nice out. But I am back. Shah is off. He might be joining us for the Patreon later. But thanks for checking us out and joining us. We have a ton of topics to get to. But a little program note. We have a Patreon. And we do tons of extra content on that Patreon. We got like 1,200 hours there waiting for you, going all the way back to the pandemic, to the dark, dark days of the pandemic. But you got to go to patreon.com/Spitball Media. It's just $5. And B-Show, they have just so much fun they can get there. I mean, isn't there just a plethora of things they could do?
Absolutely. We have Q&A shows. We're going to record one sometime this weekend.
Weekend, yeah, for April. We're a little late because I was off.
That's all right. Well, we had to bust you out of a Tijuana clink, so,
Word.
And I think that's where Shah's at. Off the record, Shah's like racing back in a Bronco or something.
Yeah, I know.
Not him yet.
But he might be on tonight.
Yeah, but hours of content. Shaheen and I did like 45 or 50 minutes on the Patreon show last week, so we did a little bit extra.
Oh,
and yes, what is it? Patreon.com/Spitball Media. $5. Get your fucking fix.
Yes. Now here's an interesting fact, B-Show. Did you know that I was actually listening to the show live in Mexico? I was listening
in Mexico. No kidding.
I was. Yeah, I was. I didn't log in. I didn't want to. We were the time difference. We were going out to dinner and doing all this stuff. That was, I think, our first night in the resort, or the second night in the resort. I'm not sure. But yeah, I was listening live. There was a whole discussion about whether you were the prince. Whether he was the prince of Philly, I was
Shah, or the king,
Shah, right? Yeah, the king, and then of course you, the mayor of Burleytown. But I don't think you said that last week.
No, we didn't.
No,
and I kind of fucked up the plugs too, so I apologize for everybody. It was kind of one of those like red light on, mine goes blank type of things. Because Shah was like, "We'll do it we'll do it later. We'll get everyone next week." And I thought of 3 people immediately, and then like went blank. So sorry.
Okay. Guys. So did we put out the link in the Twitter there? If not, I'll throw it out there now. I don't know if I see it.
Yeah, we put it out earlier, I think.
We did put it out earlier? I just want to make sure. I always get confused. But go to patreon.com/Spitball Media. We would love it. We would appreciate it. We would totally enjoy having you there. And of course, if you are on the Patreon, thank you for the constant support. And we're going to be, we're going to be busy. We're going to be doing the April Q&A, so that should be a lot of fun. I expect that to be a lot of fun. We'll get that out to you over the weekend. And then, of course, the link is up right now, B-Show, for the May Q&A, right?
Yep, just put that up yesterday or today. Lots of questions for April. If you didn't get them in, get them in for May, because we're going to start that one pretty soon too. So
yeah, it's probably going to be a long one, I think, the April Q&A.
I think so. We gave you a little bit extra time to let it marinate, and there's some good questions in there. So
yeah, and then the following week, I'm going to be dropping a solo show. A lot of stuff that we haven't got to that I wanted to address. I haven't done one, I think, all year. I haven't done one in quite a while. So I'm going to be dropping a solo show. And of course, you'll get the Q&A at the end of the month in May. But consider going to patreon.com/Spitball Media. There's so much content there. If you're someone who likes podcasts, I know a lot of you listen to it while you drive to work, driving home to work, sometimes at work, sometimes while working, and all that stuff. God, B-Show, there's just endless content there if you're new.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm just trying to think of how we would even classify our content. It's like a vault of fucking spit and
spitting. We just spit shit. There's just shit we're spitting all over the place.
Really wet, kind of slick.
Yeah, pretty slick. Let me say hello to some people in the chat there. We got our good friend Joe Punches. We got Chris Matthews. We got Emmanuel Rojas chilling with us. Thank you guys for hanging out. Who else we got there? B-Show. My mouse is not working great.
I think they're a little trickling in, but
we're trickling in, and we definitely do have the link up there because for some reason I don't see it on the Spitball Media page that
I just retweeted it. Yeah,
you did just retweet it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. whatchamacallit. So yeah, I was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico for the first time. And I've been to Mexico before, but I've never been to that part of the country. And man, did I have a good time. I was everything you think I was doing in excess, I was doing it. I can assure you.
It looked like a
Uh,
good time, man.
yeah, I was, dude, I was like the first few days. Oh, Dirk, what's up, Dirk? Yeah, I'm not really growing it back. I'm gonna shave this. It's the summer. I can't be sweating, man. I'm too old to be sweating. Um, so it was just there's just a lot going on. Like I had like this really great vacation with my wife, which we haven't gone in like 10 years. And then we get there and it's very late because there was some flight issues and some other shit. But we've both been to Mexico, independently in different parts of Mexico. But I love Puerto Vallarta. I get the whole vibe there. I liked everything about it. I love the food. I like the music. I like the vibe. We were in this like very boutique hotel with a fucking infinity pool and fucking I was smoking Cuban cigars, drinking mojitos and shit and fucking we were going out. We were doing shit though. We were walking around all day and then we went to this resort, like all inclusive, resort where you just fucking drink and hang out and don't do shit and go to all the restaurants. But man, I I got fucked up, Bisho. Fucked up.
Did you stay at 2 different places? Because the one
Yeah,
looked like it had, like, a mountain view or something like that. The other one
yeah,
was
yeah. We
different.
stayed in like the non-touristy area, more like a residential area. And then we stayed in like the fucking, like where all the fucking tourists go and complain all day. Just like you just sit by the pool and the beach and they bring you shit all fucking day, nonstop. This nonstop. Like, my God. The first couple of days we were really feeling it because we were just like walking all day, going around, looking at shit. And then like, you come back and you go in the infinity pool on the roof, and then you got to pay for your shit. But
Rooftop pool?
rooftop, yeah, all those
Shit,
pools were
Draper's living
rooftop.
large, man.
Yeah, it was a rooftop infinity pool, and then the other one they had rooftop jacuzzis, but I was not going to jacuzzi in fucking 90-degree weather. But they had the main pool, and I was in that fucker all the time. They just bring you drinks in the pool. There's a bar in the pool.
Mhm.
It's I think I may have found patient zero for the obesity problem though, and I feel like I may have found that. I feel like I may have found that.
Yeah?
But yeah, we had a great time. Awesome. I got another vacation coming up in a couple weeks. Actually,
Where you going?
we'll talk about it off. But
Okay.
I got to go to this resort in Jersey for a few days.
See, I thought that when you said that you had to go for, like, a work
No, that's
thing,
a
I thought
corporate
that's what
thing.
this was.
No, this is a corporate thing, but it's
Oh.
a high end like thing that I got to do. I have to do it. Like at this point, they paid like so much money for it. So my wife and I are going to that, and then next weekend, I'll be at the Black and Blue Bowl, the hardcore, like it's like the annual hardcore
Oh,
festival in
shit.
New York. I'll be at that. I'm excited to go see that. And then there's so much going on, B show. It's just my kids are coming back. But thank you guys for all the birthday wishes. I had a birthday the other day. Just a busy guy, B. Just a busy adult.
Well, I'm I'm busy as well, but I'm not going to cool places like swanky New Jersey hotels and Puerto Vallarta and shit like that.
Mm.
I don't
Awesome.
think I've been to Mexico since, like, 2007,
Me neither.
2010.
I last time I was there was Cancun for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, last
Uh,
time we went for our anniversary, and, I was in the pool at the bar, and we'd already been drinking all day, hadn't eaten anything, and I was like, "I'm not feeling this." My wife's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I was like, to the guy, I was like, "Dos kamikazes," being an
mm,
asshole, American trying to say dose because
yeah,
I think I'm being nice.
lazy American.
Yeah. And he goes, "Oof, kamikaze?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he starts mixing up all these drinks like he's making a fucking Four Horsemen or something. I
Oh
don't
my
even think he
god.
made me a kamikaze. It was just like vodka, tequila, triple sec.
Yeah, they don't
And I
fuck
almost
around.
passed out in the pool. It was fucking fun,
Yeah,
man.
I there's a picture of me. I'm gonna probably post it where we're right. Where you can't tell, but it might be the last night. It's the last night, and we're right by police because they're. I don't want to get all particulars, but where we were staying, it's an exclusive resort, but there was some sort of function there on the side of it, and
Mm.
they had major police there. I don't know who was there that they had all this police. So I'm fucking bombed. I had like my 30th drink of the day, and I'm smoking a Cuban cigar, and I'm drinking a Manhattan, which was poorly made, but the old fashions were made like it was the Middle Ages. I had to switch over, and I'm just sitting there, and my wife takes a picture of me, and I'm like this. I'm doing the slant, and I'm on the beach and shit. But oh well, who else is in there? Slave Cheeks is joining us. Marquise is joining us. So yeah, it's pretty lovely, man. It's a good vibe. I'm very happy. I had a good birthday. Had a good chill. I feel very refreshed. I feel very
Nice.
refreshed, and I am now 53 years old. B show. Can you believe that? I'm 53.
It's funny. Every time you say that, I think of that conversation we had about Wilford Brimley and Cocoon being
I'm
like
the same
50
age,
years old.
literally. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you
yeah.
look better than he does, so I'll
I
tell you that.
do. I do. I mean, I'm not in my fighting shape, but I don't know that we'll ever get back to that unless I'm dying. Um, but yeah, it's all is good with the universe. A lot of people from the show, you reached out to me for my birthday, which was lovely, and yeah, me and my wife had a rad time. But it's back to business, B show, and yo, Emmanuel Ross says some of his family lives there. Oh, in Puerto Vallarta, a lot of ex-Americans live there. That's a big thing there. I ate in the local areas. There was like some sort of religious carnival going on, so we went to that because it's a very Catholic country. And so we went like in the air. We were just like to this street fair, and we ate a lot of some street food, which is dope. I ate raw octopus, which was pretty
Oh
not
shit.
my thing, but I was like whatever. I was so drunk and high anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I probably I'm trying to think how many days in a row was I drunk and high, like 5 days. Like, that's like a record. So this week I've been
Damn.
like my birthday, me and my wife went out on was that Monday, and she was like, "You want to get a drink?" I was like, "No, I got to work." I've been starving myself a little bit, like just because I'm like, I got to chill the fuck out. But now, like the nice weather's coming, we're getting a new deck in the backyard. It's probably not gonna be ready for a little bit. Like I'm ready for like warm weather, and I shaved my beard, but it's growing back. Oh, Frank's Tacos. No, I didn't go to Frank's Tacos, but everybody, I had so many great tacos there, man. My God, it was amazing. But I highly recommend it. Thank you, Joe Punches, for this. This is like a light flannel style. It's a light. This is a little J. Crew, little light J. Crew
Yeah, it's one of
flannel.
those ones you can wear when it's getting warm out and you don't have to sweat your
Yeah,
balls
yeah.
off.
It's warm draper. It's warm draper. I got a little bit of a tan. So many people were freaked out by the shaved beard, B show. I think they forgot that I didn't look like Wilford Brimley.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm over here looking like I'm starting to look
Your
like
beard looks
Conrad,
you'd look
dude.
like a young guy with a beard. You don't look like a 50-something-year-old guy with a beard. No,
What do they
no
call it?
offense.
Distinguished when it's white?
Trashy or Santa.
Trashy Santa.
Trashy Santa. But boy, we had a lot of stuff to go cover with you guys. And we like our topics list maybe was the longest one we've ever.
Pack a lunch, dudes, because yeah,
Be
this you're
Well,
not
there's
lying
a
on that
lot of
one.
little things. So one thing we wanted to get to because it's all over social media everybody's kind of been talking about it was the Tom Brady roast. Now, this was live on Netflix, which is odd, B show, because I keep forgetting like we're gonna have live wrestling on Netflix in the new year. Like Netflix is slowly becoming like a channel, like a live channel. Now, I don't care for Tom Brady. I'm not a football guy. I always thought he looked like kind of Frankensteinish, like, I'm of no interest to this. But boy, B show, was this a hot entertainment topic this week.
Whew. Well, for a couple reasons, they really went there, and in an era that I think we talked about this offline a little bit.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of comedians who complain about cancel culture and you can't say anything and all this stuff. They sure as fuck didn't care this night because
No,
from Tony Hinchcliffe to Jeff Ross and dude, Jeff Ross is I could
he's a
watch him
yeah,
roast people all day long.
yeah.
Just he's a fucking a genius when it comes to that shit.
Oh, yeah.
But in an era where everyone says you can't say anything anymore, these guys said everything, and there's been
Everything.
very little blowback.
Very little, if not none. Nikki Glazer was very good also. Kevin Hart was supposedly, from what I saw, the weakest, which is odd because he's the most famous person there. Um, Really, I think the big story out of that was Tony Hinchcliffe, who personally I consider him a little bit of a Rogan flunky. Like he's good at the roast shit and the Kill Tony stuff, but whatchamacallit, Joe Punch is talking about Nikki Glaser, wifing up Nikki Glaser, and Emilio Rojas is talking about Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer. Yeah, I like Burt. I don't. Tom's I think a little bit of a phony. Burt's I like Burt quite a bit as a person. I just think he's a real guy. But really, Tony Hinchcliffe, B show. I mean, we have to just give him all the props here, don't you think?
Yeah, like when I listened to Rogan back in the day, I was more into like when he had Duncan Trussell on and they would talk about
He's a big
DMT
weirdo.
and Clockwork Elves. They just go nuts and it's just fun
He's a
because
big
they're being
weirdo,
goofy.
Duncan. Yeah, yeah, he's a
Yeah,
big
but
weirdo.
it's funny to watch because it's just two dudes being goofy.
Yeah.
Tony Hinchcliffe, obviously he's a WWE fan and
He's a
it's
big
cool
wrestling
to
fan overall. Yeah.
it's cool to see him, talking to guys like Undertaker and was it Jake when they were on so he could walk Rogan through some of that stuff. But I
Yeah.
never really thought much of him until I started seeing clips on Kill Tony.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. My
what
brother Mike too. He says the same
yeah, and
thing.
what I never got about Kill Tony is he's doing arenas with that shit.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, listen, could I watch him do stand up for an hour? No. But the things that he's like, this is a case where I think this is a guy, this is what he does, and this is what he does well, and that's why he killed. Like now listen, I would like to try to play some of the highlights from Tony because they're not just on YouTube, Isha. They're on every social
Yeah,
media
let me go to
platform.
Twitter and see if I can find him.
Yeah, I think you can pull them on Reels or something. But for people that haven't seen it, he really dominated. I mean, I sent you his whole bit because I only seen the clips. I don't know if Andrew Schultz killed. I'm getting a little tired of Andrew Schultz's shtick, but why don't we try to play it off Twitter? I don't think we'll have a problem here. You
Yeah,
might have to
Andrew
back it up a little
Schultz.
bit.
He
Andrew
reminds me
Schultz.
of one of those guys that got an opportunity because he like self-promoted a lot, but
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
really ready
yeah.
for
He's a
the
very
spotlight.
talented guy. I like him a lot, but like I just think I'm good. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get it.
Yeah.
So let's play some of Tony's stuff here on Twitter so we don't get kicked off.
Afraid of the Giants, which is why Kevin Hart is hosting tonight. All night, he's been using the stool that Aaron Hernandez kicked out from under himself.
Yeah.
Kevin
Now, by
is
the way,
so
can we
small
pause
that
right
when his-
there?
Yeah.
So apparently that was one of the things people were upset about, like Aaron Hernandez's widow is upset about, which is funny because I don't think she was upset about the people he murdered, but she was upset about the
Mhm.
joke. So she could, sorry. I know you didn't do anything to anybody, but I have no sympathy there for Aaron Hernandez should be made fun of emphatically. Don't you think so, Bisho?
Absolutely. It's like Chris Benoit. Like
Yeah.
someone telling a Chris Benoit joke. Like who was it? Someone was telling a joke about him with a Bowflex or something.
Is he
It
all
would be
elite?
like no,
No. Chris Benoit's all elite?
it doesn't matter. If he's not all elite, it doesn't matter.
Right.
He's nothing. But no, like that would be like his Nancy's sister being upset because someone made fun of it. It's like, look, we
Well,
understand.
not
It
making fun of
sucks, but
Nancy. I'm talking about like making jokes about Benoit. I mean, the guy's a murderer. I mean, no one's glorifying him by making fun of him. You know what I mean? Like it's a little different there. I just think, someone had to do an Aaron Hernandez joke, right? I mean, they just had to do it. But that was a pretty good one, Bisha, don't you think?
absolutely. I can't believe there were so many moments where like I couldn't believe something was said, and that was the big one for me.
That was a big one. That was a big
And
one for me too.
let me ask you because we're gonna play some more of this.
Yeah. And these are just highlights of this is not his full set. It's going to be bing, bing, bing. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, do you think people are finally realizing that the outraged people on Twitter are a very small amount of people, and you can still do this shit and just ignore
I have
them?
I have a theory, but it's going to open a can of worms. But I'm just going to leave it at this. All the outraged people are busy complaining about the Middle East. That's what I think it is. I think they're very busy. They have hyper focus now because they have to attach themselves to one thing and run that thing to death. So I think possibly if we didn't have what's going on in Gaza, which we will never discuss here, other than this context, because that's not what we do. But I think they're so focused on that they're not focused on a guy making inappropriate jokes. If that wasn't going on, they would be more focused on trying to cancel Tony Hinchcliffe. That's what I
Yeah.
think, but I don't know if I'm right or not. But
I know I
that's
buy that. I buy that, but there's
it's too
also
busy.
it's
It's too
almost
busy.
I get that. I think that's part of it too. But I noticed Louis did some shit and went away. Tony was supposed to have been
They tried
canceled.
to
Tony
cancel him,
Hinchcliffe.
for some Asian stuff a few years ago. I remember that very
And
well.
nothing happened. And Shane
Nothing
Gillis
happened.
is hosting SNL after getting fired 2
Bigger
years
than
ago.
ever. Yeah, bigger than ever. Yeah, so there's definitely evidence for that. But these guys also earned it with good material, right? So like Tony's doing good material.
Well, that's another thing too. There's a lot of comedians, and we'll talk about Seinfeld in a little while.
Yes, we
But
will. We are gonna talk about
Seinfeld has been talking about, oh, this PC crap. And it's like, you're the safest, most vanilla, like milk toast fucking dude doing comedy. You're not pushing boundaries and shit. Why are you complaining about PC stuff? Like,
Yeah,
there's all these other
I mean,
guys
I
that are
kind of
doing
get
it.
what he's saying. It doesn't negate what he's saying because it
He's
wasn't
not
his cup
wrong,
of tea.
right?
I think at the end of the day, he's one of these like Leno's like that too. Like
Yeah.
they consider they don't even consider themselves men or humans or comedians. Or they would say they're a comedian above anything else. They like the comedian before death. Like the art is that important because this art gave them everything. Chappelle's
Right.
like that too, dude. Like it's the art is above everything. Is above everything, anything and anything else. The art comes first. What's up, Mr. Yarsifer?
Well, do
Let's
you think Chappelle had something to do with that then? He came out and had all this
yeah,
fucking public stuff and nothing really ever happened to him. So people said,
yeah,
what the
but
fuck?
Chappelle also, came out in 2020 and did that thing during COVID about George Floyd that people considered a watershed moment, like one of the most powerful moments. And then 8 months later or a year later, they want to cancel him for trans stuff. It's like sometimes you can't win. Like, you know what I mean? Honestly.
Yeah.
But let's play some of these highlights in case some people haven't heard it because they're just really good. They're really great stuff.
Considering he looks like a Confederate fag. Clearly,
Oh, you got to
your
rewind that a
ex-wife
little bit.
takes after you. I
All
hear
right.
she's a patriot.
Yeah, and we got a little bit more volume, or that's as loud as it's gonna
Considering
get.
he looks like a Confederate fag. Clearly,
That's
your
it.
ex-wife takes after you. I hear she's out there draining balls right now.
So great.
People love you, Tom. You have the same fan base as Kyle Rittenhouse. Gronk, I'm happy you could take a break from writing Santa letters to be here today.
That's pretty
I knew
fantastic.
you were here when we were all out of chocolate milk backstage. You look like the final boss in George Floyd, the video game.
Jesus.
Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss. Nikki has such a bad eating disorder, the industry keeps shoving her down our throat. You might recognize her from her podcast appearances, specials, and winning the Triple Crown at Churchill Downs.
I love
You might
that.
recognize Kevin as the jockey that rode her, and that's Churchill Downs, the racetrack, not to be confused with what Jeff Ross looks like when he smokes a cigar. Sam J, an obese
Can we pause it?
African-American
Yeah.
lesbian.
Wait, you might
So
want to
I-
rewind it a little bit because yeah, that's all. I mean, look, he's just killing it. Like and by the way, this is edited. Like this is like cut little clips. Like at one point, he pauses because the crowd's going crazy, and he sees the comedian Hurricane in the crowd. He goes, "Hurricane's giving me a standing ovation. That's how I know I'm killing." Like, let's just drop it a little bit back because he does some really good stuff here too.
Yeah.
This is where he goes
Sam
across.
J, an obese African-American lesbian. So by having here, Netflix checked off a lot of boxes. Andrew Schultz, I'm glad you took a break from watching YouTube videos on how to dap up black dudes correctly. Schultz's mom is a professional ballroom dancer, which means she's a stripper that talks too much. Bert Kreischer is a king. He looks like if the Tiger King and the Liver King only ate Burger King and had a liver that looked like Martin Luther King got beat up by Rodney King. And how about the appearance from the great Ron Burgundy, huh? A whale's vagina, which reminds me, Kim Kardashian's here. She's had a lot of black men celebrate in her end zone. Kim, word of advice, close your legs. You have more public beef than Kendrick and Drake. Thank you, guys.
Now,
But-
is it true that Netflix edited that off, or was it?
Yeah, they
something
put a
else?
disclaimer in there. Yeah, they did. Well, because she's such a powerful media person. I mean, look, Netflix can blow me. Netflix is my least favorite streaming service. They have a couple of good things and that's it. But yeah, I mean, they did cave a little bit. But the fact that they ran with this live, and by the way, this is just a little smidgen B show. Like there's a lot of other good stuff in there. Like not just from Tony, but in general. You know what I mean?
I think I
They
saw
edited
some
out
of
because she
Nikki's
got
set.
booed to death. She got booed to death, and they edited the booing. Thank you,
Yeah.
Slave Juice.
And then who was it? Jeff Ross. Tom Brady came up and said, "Don't ever say that again."
Yeah, about
And-
massaging his son. He made a massage joke about remember when he was massaging his son, or it was something about
Oh, yeah.
massages or Bill Belichick.
He walked
no,
into Belichick's office
no,
and asked
not
him for a
Kraft
massage.
with the owner of the
Oh,
Patriots.
that's right.
Kraft. Yeah, about the massage joke. He was like, "Don't fucking say that shit." Yeah, I didn't see the roast either, Slave Cheeks. I saw the highlights. There, but B Show. Here's a guy not very famous, really, but who's more known for comedians, who just took his time and destroyed, and he'll be bigger as a result of it. So let's segue into this Seinfeld thing and this Stern thing a little bit, because Seinfeld has been taking some hits because he's been talking about this cancel culture. But I do feel like a lot of people are very adamant to try to disprove this, even though, I mean, we have a lot of evidence to support that this was a big problem, B show, for many years in the last like 5 or 7 years. I mean, people getting fired. Like we could talk about Shane Gillis, but like the fact is Shane Gillis got fired right after he got hired. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then of course he had to really kill to get that career going again. Chappelle's, Louis C.K. still is not really welcome in every format in certain regards. Chappelle, biggest comedian in the world, I think at this point, maybe of this part of our lives,
Absolutely.
still can't get on a lot of TV shows because of some of the things he said. Where do you stand at this point? I don't want, because I don't want to be one of these people go cancel culture's over, and then like Netflix, edits the show to death next week. Do you think maybe it's progress that we do have this happening and not a complete backlash and people falling apart right away?
I think it's a couple things. One, I think there's considerably less people on Twitter than there was 2 or 3 years ago.
Which there is, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that lost some steam because it's not like you have 100,000 or let's say 5,000 people. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
Contacting Mars saying, if you show the fabulous Moolah on WWE, we're going to be really mad.
Yeah.
Now it'd be like 15 people or 100 people if it's trending.
Right.
So, I think companies like Netflix that would not have taken a chance on some people 3-4 years ago and not want the heat or the bad press, they realized that a lot of people got that out of their system.
Mhm.
So I think that's the second part. So people are willing to go and let people do this shit without the fear of reprisal because it's just not as venomous. And the third, I think, is I think people who are willing to go along with the whole cancel culture stuff and let's stop people from saying bad things. I think most rational people that bought into that for a while, after a while, we're like, all right, come on, get the fuck on. Like, we get it. Like, we've yelled at everybody. We've told them not to do this stuff. People got taken care of. People were made examples of. Now let's move the fuck on and have some fun. Because it just got to be so fucking down.
Mhm.
Like, comedy's supposed to be fun. And yeah, some people say shit that pisses people off or hurts people's feelings. But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be in the name of fun. And I think if people can see that it's not provocateurs trying to be like anti-woke and stuff, if you're good, you're good. And I think you get away with shit like these guys who are starting to rise up and have some fame now. So
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of factors to it.
Yeah, I think it's a layered thing, but I did notice that a lot of people were falling over themselves to attack Seinfeld, about like him saying about the cancel culture thing. But I mean, listen, it doesn't mean that he's wrong, and just because he didn't work blue or super blue like a lot of his cohorts there, he was defending the craft and he puts the craft first, which ties into this thing with Stern, which is interesting to me because I used to be very close. I'm an old school Stern guy. I haven't listened to Stern in a decade plus, and I wouldn't listen to it now. And of course, but Chris Matthews is bringing up Patrice O'Neill. And a lot of people like to go to Patrice in these sort of conversations. He's kind of a go-to person. But apparently in Variety, because Jerry's doing a lot of press for his Serial movie, which is supposed to be an abomination, but I'll probably check it out anyway. He said Stern lacks comedy chops and has been outflanked by comedians with podcasts. And quite frankly, this is true. The two bears, one cave, Joe Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe. I mean, Shane and Matt. And we're just talking about a handful of people.
Who's the
Whether it's
comedian that was doing it out of his garage? Who was one of the first big ones with Rogan?
Mark Maron, but that's
Yeah,
like 100
Maron.
years ago. Yeah, he started the medium really with, around that time. I mean, we're just scratching the surface here. I mean, as far as comedians, because COVID forced a lot of these guys to do podcasts and they were very, 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 very successful. Stern, I think an unfair comparison here is that Stern is not really a comedian and all of these other people are. But Jerry's not wrong. I think Stern is very old. He's in his like late 60s. He's been around for 40 years plus doing this, probably more. And he sort of folded the irreverent tent, right? And and sort of went back on basically the things that made him, famous with people, and because he was just making so much money. I mean, my God, Stern's worth he's a billionaire probably. But you do have, whether it's Come Town or fucking, we've been like, and we just mentioned a few here. There's so many comedy podcasts, B show. Like Tim Dillon was one of the first comedians that wasn't super famous, making 60 grand a month in Patreon. He's probably making fucking 300, 400 grand in Patreon now, B
Yeah,
show.
that's where Schultz came from too.
Schultz podcast.
Schultz was famous for Twitter, or not Twitter, with social media beef with Chappelle, because Chappelle pretty much said there's these guys out there that got over on podcasts that don't know how to do stand up. I think Schultz is kind of funny with some of his stand up, but I can't argue with Chappelle on that notion, because him and Tim Dillon's funny too.
Yeah.
But Schultz was a guy that saw the wave, and he saw that he could do certain things on social media to get attention, and then use that to parlay into making his stand up career work.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And by the way, these guys are good. Like they're like, I don't listen to most of them, but these guys are good. You know what I mean? Like their shit is funny. Dan Soder, who else is that? I always forget his name. Luis Gomez and those guys, they do that comedy tour, that irreverent comedy tour. I can't remember
They had the bonfire on Sirius. I can't think of the
Well, they have their own thing now too. I forget what it's called. Somebody can check me on that, but it's a touring thing that sells out everywhere it goes. You know what I mean? Kreischer, Tom Segura. Tom Segura has a podcast with his wife that's very popular. Nikki Glazer has a podcast. I mean, it's just on and on and on. I think Stern is passe, because while Stern is asking Kate Hudson why she's so pretty, almost like a Fightful reporter, asking, Brandy Rhodes, like, why is she so pretty? Legion of Skanks. Thank you, Mr. Isaacs. Legion of Skanks is super, super successful. Legion of Skanks is super successful. These people aren't household names. They're not signing autographs at the mall, but they're selling out everywhere they go. There's waiting lists for their shit. They do carnivals and conventions. Like Kill Tony goes from doing a small room to doing it in front of 10, 15,000 people sometimes.
Kill Tony is doing MSG.
Schultz just did 2 nights at MSG.
Jesus Christ.
Schultz. Last
Do you
year,
remember when MSG, like with Dice, was a huge deal when Dice did MSG, or Dane Cook, or any of these guys that got
Dice?
Really big?
I remember when Kinnison did it when I was just got out of high school. They wanted to do a Kinnison versus Dice at MSG in '89.
Oh shit.
Can you imagine what that would have been like?
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, like MSG was like, Seinfeld wasn't doing MSG back then. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, look, these guys are popular. They're, Matt Rife was, before he got in a little bit of trouble there, he was selling out, not arenas, but he was selling out theaters, giant theaters. It's been the power of the podcast. Seinfeld at least has the same mentality as these guys, to recognize that these people are doing funny shit from their house, and it's trending, and then they escalate from the clubs to the fucking theaters, possibly to arenas. Dude, Bert does arenas. Bert Kreischer does arenas. I mean, like, every one of these guys does arena. I wouldn't be surprised if Legion of Skanks one day does MSG. I'm not even fucking kidding. Tim Dillon's selling out everywhere. He could do like 10,000 maybe in certain markets. Wrestling, AEW doesn't do this. A shit ton of big bands don't do this, B-show.
Cat Williams was just in Cleveland. I got a notification on my phone that he was
did
the
arena by me. He did the arena, but I don't think it was close to sold out. But he did an arena.
No, but still, consider the fact that AEW is running arenas that are 10, 15,000 seat buildings, and they're putting 2,500 people in them. And you got Cat Williams, a comedian, running this shit. Or you got, like we've talked about, these other guys in MSG, which MSG for a comedy show is what, 11, 12,000 easy?
More than that, I would say, maybe because it's a comedy show, I'd say it's supposed to 14,000. Because remember, it's a small state. It's not, you don't have the setup there like you do for a fucking basketball game. It might be like 16,000.
Well, a lot of times, they do the round stage in the middle too. I know Dane Cook used to do that.
Yeah. And as unfunny as he was. So I think Jerry called Stern out. I'm sure Stern's going to take it poorly, like a wrestling podcaster. And, but the reality is, Stern didn't have to go out there and grind that way. He grinded on really free speech, and he grinded on, getting canceled and threatened and kicked off the air. And he's a hero for that, I think, for a lot of people. But, as far as how he ended up versus how it made him famous, like Jerry's been Jerry for 40 years. Howard has been 3 or 4 different people, at the very least 3. And the one he's been for this century sucks ass. Completely sucks balls.
Yeah, I couldn't like comprehend in my head that he was on like America's Got Talent, and
Yeah, really weird.
he's interviewing politicians like, "Oh, why are you so great? Why are you so great? You're
Yeah,
so
yeah,
amazing."
yeah, like
And
a
he used to
wrestling
be the
person.
guy that would be like, "Oh, hey, honey, what's your name? Where are you from? By the way, can you take off your pants?"
Yeah,
Like
take off
that
your
was
top.
him.
Yeah, take your top off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
like
Yeah.
anal ring toss with the iron
Lesbian
cheek.
dial-a-date, like gay chicken, like the OG Whack Pack. I mean, I'm a Stern fanatic from that period. I had it on. I bought Sirius just to have it on in my store. I used to have to shut it
Yeah.
off when my kids came in. It was very annoying, even though you kind of want business. But listen, comedy's doing well. I think a lot of people are hyper focused on the shitty, like left leaning comedians that are kind of trash. There's a lot of really good people doing stuff. And there's people doing stuff that in a big way. But yeah, I remember like a lot of people probably grew up with Stern being a very different Stern, I'm sure. People always bring up Carlin. Carlin's been gone for a while. There's a lot of differences here. And the E Network, Drew Yari, absolutely. I had the E Network. I used to pay for the Stern pay-per-view channel. When the E Network was like a watered down version of the uned. I still have the VHS from his New Year's Rotten Eve where we had a party at our house with like 100 people at it watching that shit.
Oh, no shit.
Oh yeah, New Year's Rotten Eve. I paid $50, I think, for that. I think everybody chipped in like $5, and it was a crazy part. It was like a hardcore gangster fucking party in like the early '90s, crazy shit. People bring up Bill Burr. He's been doing arenas for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think comedy's live and well. I just think it's alive and well in the podcast medium, and people are showing up for it live. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's a very encouraging thing to see. We got a couple of other things we wanted to get to here. One of the things I wanted to get to, B-Show, which people probably knew we were going to talk about, is what happened with the Friday the 13th series on Peacock.
Ooh.
This has been a very chaotic couple of days here with this story. So the first story broke was that they were pulling it and that it was canceled. That A24 had walked away from the show at Peacock, and that was the initial running story. I think that was Tuesday, possibly. And then it started trickling in, B-Show, that we did not get the right information, that the show was not canceled. This is just how these things work. But in fact, the showrunner that they hired to run the show left. Now, some of this is still a little foggy, B-Show, but I think we have some clarity as to what actually the current situation is with the prequel Friday the 13th show, which was pretty highly anticipated, called Crystal Lake on Peacock.
So Brian Fuller, as you mentioned, who is the showrunner, yes.
Now, before we
confirmed
go
that
any further, B-Show, I'm sorry. What is Brian Fuller known for? Like, do we know how he got this gig?
I think he did the Hannibal series.
Oh wow, people really I saw some of that and it's great, but I never got into it, but I would love to revisit that because I heard it's hard as balls.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if he had anything to do with the Friday the 13th remake movie. I know that was Platinum Dunes, but I know he's done some other things other than Hannibal. But so basically, I'm trying to figure out, and I've got some quotes from him here that we can talk about.
Okay.
But I'm trying to figure out if this is really in hot water or if it's not going to happen, because this shit happens all the time.
Right.
Like a couple years ago, Swamp Thing was supposed to come out on FX or CW. And it was like, oh, it's not canceled. We're just moving it to DC unit, whatever the DC app
Yeah,
was.
the DC channel. Yeah, I had that channel. I was paying for that channel. I used to watch Titans on that channel.
And then it ended up coming out on Tubi, and it's not that great. It's okay.
Yeah,
but like I wonder if they're gonna I wonder if this is a hopeful, oh shit, we lost a showrunner. This project isn't getting off the ground. Maybe we can keep it going in case we get something to happen. I hope that's not the case. But if it wasn't going to be good, I'd rather them take their time and change shit up, try to get it right.
Right. So what's the final sort of real story at this point as of today? Because it's also changing. These things do change.
So this is a quote from Brian Fuller. It says, adapting classic horror is something I have some experience with. These shows require a vision that elevates and transforms as well as delivers what audiences have come to expect, which is an ambitious and risky endeavor. It requires people to take a leap with me. When it works, as with Hannibal, the results can be powerful for the storytellers and audience. I couldn't be more proud of the work my co-showrunner Jim Danger Gray and I were able to accomplish with our brilliant writing staff, despite the challenges we faced. For reasons beyond our control, A24 has elected to go a different way with the material. We hope the final product will be something Friday the 13th fans all over the world will enjoy. So this is A24 changing direction.
A24 wanted to change direction, and it was okay. So he apparently Drew Yari's he worked on, I think, the Star Trek Discover Discovery show, and he worked on American Gods. American Gods was very good. No one watched it. That based on the Neil Gaiman novel was very, very popular. First season good. Second season a little too 2020-ish. Like it was very messagey, just laden with like modern messages and what all the struggles of whatever's going on right now and things like that. And that's not really was in the book. The book is from the 90s, if not maybe the late 80s. The book is a little old. Are you familiar with the book American Gods?
No, I saw a couple episodes of the TV show and it
Good
seemed
show.
cool. I just
It's a cool
never
show.
stuck with
Looked
me.
very expensive.
Mhm.
Again, first season very cool. Second season, I think there was a change. I believe somebody got fired that worked on that show. And then I think there was a story with that too, but I just remember the last bullering through the end of that second season there. And I knew they weren't done telling the story. It looked $1 million. And apparently that Star Trek show was very popular. And he worked on Hannibal. Hannibal was super popular. But now B show, look, we're probably not going to know the real story here. Oh, he did Dead Like Me. I remember Dead Like Me. Orlando Jones got fired? I don't remember that. I remember him because he was like the African god there. Yeah, something happened. There's somebody else got fired, I think, too. I remember there was you felt a sea change in the second season a little bit. Something happened in that show. But if no one's ever seen it, I recommend it because it looks good. And it's a great story. The premise is incredible. I
Yeah, it
don't
doesn't
remember.
look cheaply made. Like there's that
Oh
one
God, no.
episode where the
Fortune.
chick like swallows the dude up into her snatch, and it's like,
I believe that's
whoa.
Nefertiti. Is it Nefertiti? Not Nefertiti. Yeah, she was the goddess who eats people. She eats you whole. She like you.
Yeah.
She'll let you fuck her, and then right when you're about to finish, she literally eats you, and she consumes you, and that's why she stays the most beautiful. It's not Nefertiti. I'm trying to remember who it was. There's so many gods on that show.
Yeah.
You got any god lore. It really exists, and they're coming back. They're sort of like they've been replaced by technology, media, and all like they've been replaced by those guys. Oh, who is it from X-Files? Gillian Anderson. She got fired. She
Oh
also got
shit.
fired after the first season. Yeah, there was beef there. There was something going on. It was on Stars. Um, I remember that episode with the slave ship. That was crazy. Oh my God, was that wild? I
Yeah,
forget who.
Stars was a place where like series went to die because that was where Ash versus Evil Dead was. And
Yeah,
right before they announced season 3, they just said Stars couldn't
because
afford to keep
motherfuckers
doing it.
weren't watching it. Because Stars isn't even a channel now. It's called something else. Like it's just. But Bisha, let me ask you a question. Do we think? I mean, when they say change direction, they obviously mean the guy running the show. They're not happy with what he was doing, so we're going to start over again, right?
Yeah, so like I wonder if because like Adrienne King was signed on for a role on this too, who played Alice in the first one.
Really? Wow.
And there was a big thing on Twitter that she was going to be on. She did like interviews with Fangoria and stuff. So it came out with a bang. Hopefully it doesn't go out with a whimper, but like
Yeah.
to your point, if A24, and we know the quality of A24's work so far, if they weren't keen on what was going on, maybe this is a good sign.
Maybe.
I just hope, I don't know, man, you get this far into a project and then you change showrunners and scrap it and go a different direction. That doesn't sound good, man.
Yeah. I agree. I God only knows what this direction change is. How many different directions can a Friday the 13th prequel? Like, what I mean? It's like how many different like what was the bad like you got to wonder. It's like, well, what did he want to do that they didn't A24 stepped in and went no. Because they're paying the bills, B show at the end of the day. Now, B show just to play. Obviously, we're so removed from what's going on, and this is only going to further delay the program. Do we think this will prove to be a bona fide good thing, or something that maybe completely change the show into something that nobody wants it to be?
It's a toss up because with A24, I want to have faith,
Mhm.
but they also like to do out there stuff.
Right.
So if they're going to take it in a strange, like cosmic, like we're going to explain why Jason can't die, and it's like, nah.
Right.
Or we're going to show him as a victim, and he's a heroic avenger. Like, no, they're fucking.
Jason
It's
has
like,
Asperger's. That's what I think they're
yeah,
going to do. Yeah.
which fine. He had birth defects. He was hydrocephalic or whatever. But
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Like, it's like people saying Magneto was right. It's like, no, Magneto's a fucking maniac. Like, yes, he should punish the wicked, but like not everyone deserves that fate. Same thing with this. Like, Jason's mom was the the other side of the coin of Psycho. It was the opposite things. She was avenging the death of her son.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was vengeance. I mean,
Yeah, but it doesn't make her right. She was still
Right.
wrong, and then set a bad example for Jason. Vengeance. So I don't know. I could see them doing something like that and trying to give it a new spin, but I don't know, man. It's so hard to tell with A24. I'm hoping it's good, but
I'm
I don't
hoping
know.
it's good too. I mean, listen, Friday the 13th is now becoming the thing I think people really want back. Like they're we have a successful Chucky TV show that's wildly popular, right? Probably more popular than they ever even imagined. We've had semi-successful Texas reboot, right? Semi, not really, but to some degree, right? I think we've had Evil Dead, we've had zombies, and and I'm just scratching the surface here with all the stuff that's come back for quite frankly. Friday the 13th is Halloween, for the most part. People really were enjoying the comeback there until they weren't. We have Exorcist, we have Omen. I mean, like, we have Aliens coming, we have Predator. This is nonstop, dude. It's not fucking stopping. Hellraiser is back. So where is really the king? Where is really the Mount Rushmore? That's not here, right? And I think because it's been a long time, people are going to be very touchy about if it's good or bad. And also, Bisho, we got new gods. We got Art the Clowns. We got there's newer franchises that people seem to like quite a bit. Talk to Me is going to be a franchise. I'm drawing a blank on some of these other things, but you know what I mean? Like, do we even need, would you rather not have Friday the 13th back the way it should be? Or would you just be happy with it being passive and getting swallowed up behind all these other newer, bigger things?
I look at it the same way I see Star Wars. Like the 3 sequel
Which is
trilogies.
also huge back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the stuff on Disney Plus has been, as far as I'm concerned, for the most part, subpar. And I would much rather have the existing body of work that I enjoy and not really even acknowledge the other shit, because to me, it's not the same. So like, Chucky really surprised me. So they could surprise us with this. Who would have thought that after 7 movies and it was played out, that they could say, okay, we're going to do this and lead to 3 very popular seasons of a TV show based on a
popular,
doll
dude.
who is possessed. Yeah.
I mean, it really is. There are people, I think, that don't even like horror, that they like the show.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get from that. Because I don't see crazy horror people talking about it. I see like squares and normies talking about Chucky. Like, people that have a passive interest in horror, I think love that TV show. It's too bad they couldn't put that affection behind Ash vs. Evil Dead, but
yeah,
it just didn't draw that kind of people. And I mean, look, Chris Matthews bring it up. We got it Friday the 13th of Nightmare on Elm Street. It makes me sad. Yeah, I think Friday the 13th is a little bit easier, Chris, because Freddy needs to be Freddy, right? Nobody's going to give a fuck who plays Jason at the end of the day. It's just not a thing. But Freddy carries those movies. A lot of dialogue. The people were conditioned to Freddy's voice, his look. You know what I mean, B-Show? Like, people, like, it's funny. We got an actor upgrade of the highest order when the reboot came, as far as I'm concerned. When what's his face? He was
Jackie Earle Haley.
Jackie Earle Haley, who I've been watching a movie since the 70s, right? Because he was Rorschach, and he also was nominated for an Academy Award for a really great movie that escapes my brain. I can't remember it, but he was so fucking good in it. And that's how he got Friday. That's how he got Nightmare and Rorschach, I think, from this Todd Field movie that I'm drawing a blank. But and also Drew's bringing up Chucky's very big in the LGBTQ community. Yeah, I think that's a part of it too. But I feel like that community has always really embraced horror really well, and I think that's been proven. Like that community has always kind of dug sci-fi, horror, comics. In my experience anyway. But we got to upgrade in an actor in Jackie Earle Haley, but he looked terrible and people didn't like the movie.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. Like, he's one of the shining points of that remake that they did, was his performance was really good.
Oh, he's a great actor, dude.
It was just the effects. I mean, the facial effects, the prosthetic and the CG. It
Yeah,
just
he
was
he
so
looked he looked
off-putting.
like a muskrat, like that was set on fire.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a reason why with some of these movies they don't go for hyper realism because it just doesn't translate. But
and didn't they turn him babyface like he didn't do any of those things to the kids? Wasn't that the premise? They changed it, right? He wasn't a child molester.
well, no, not to spoil it. They played it off that way to make the
Yeah.
parents look like the bad guys. But at the end, when she finds his lair, she finds the Polaroids that
So
he
I've
was
seen
taking.
it since I saw it in theaters. I never
Yeah.
saw it again, ever. I never saw it again. You know, I mean, listen, I think that's what hurts Friday. I think that's what hurts Freddie because who's gonna be Freddie? I mean, like that's the thing. Whereas like you could pull off like I don't know the guy who played Leatherface in the chainsaw that only me, you, and Shaheen liked. You
Oh,
know what I
Gunnar. Oh, the new one. Yeah.
mean? Yeah, I don't know who the fuck that guy
I thought you were
is.
saying Gunnar Hansen. Hansen. Everyone
No, I'm
knows who that
saying,
is.
but like I don't know the difference between, I don't know who played Jason in the reboot. I don't who it was
Oh,
the
that
guy who
was
played
Derek
Freddie.
Mears. Derek Mears. He's pretty good,
Derek Mears was also in the Hills of Eyes reboot, right? He
and
was
he
the big.
played Swamp Thing in the series too. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's done a lot, Derek Mears.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, people will say, yeah, Joe Punches is talking Kevin Bacon as Freddie. He said he would do it. I just don't. I don't. I don't see it. I don't know. He's 60 something years old too, dude. Like he's a 65-year-old guy.
Mhm.
But I think that's what hurts. Listen, time is going to tell what's going on with whether or not this showrunner getting bounced hurt or helped the fucking help the program. But it's an odd story, and it definitely puts some red flags on it.
Drew Yari, shut your dirty whore mouth. Dwayne
What do we think?
Johnson is Freddie.
Oh,
Don't even put that into the fucking universe, please.
oh, that's not going to happen. So a couple of other things today. In fact, a big announcement today, and a lot of people are unhappy about this. So not that long ago, Hulu, which is owned by Disney, if you had Disney, you were able to access Hulu or vice versa. Like if you had it on your platform, I have them in separate platforms, like a lot of other people. But I see Hulu getting solicited on Disney Plus, like as an option. Well, they announced today that Max, HBO Max, the former HBO Max, just Max, Hulu, and Disney are going to fold into one fucking streaming service. Um, this reminds me of something, B Show, growing up. I don't know if you're familiar with this. We called it cable. Um, a lot of
Gee, what's
people are,
that?
yeah, it was a thing where you just would have movies and shit on TV. A lot of people are really unhappy about this because they're concerned that this is not going to save them a red cent. And I am paying quite a few bits for streaming services, like a lot of you are. I know you are because we talk about this all the time.
Mhm.
But B Show, this was kind of a out of nowhere announcement, but a lot of people are unhappy with the concept of these things merging because they are concerned of what the pricing would be.
Yeah, I'm seeing, according to Variety, it says there's no pricing info for specific. Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery, excuse me,
Discovery, yeah, Warner Brothers Discovery, which is HBO
said
and their other programs.
they said the bundle will be available for purchase on any of the three platforms' websites and offered both as an ad-supported and ad-free plan.
Wow.
So who knows if it'll stay that way though?
I don't. Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's cable, right? I mean, it's
I
called
know.
cable.
So I don't
Welcome
like
to
the,
you remember B Show? Welcome to the new flesh in what was it? Whatever. Not scanners. Was it scanners? Like welcome to the new flesh. Was James Woods says it? Was his arms all fucked up? Was that
oh
scanners?
yeah.
Like hail the new flesh, hail the new
it.
cable. That's what we're gonna call this
Jeez.
episode. Because I got news for you people. It's cable. That's cable. That's what the fuck it is. I never ditched cable ever because A, I'm not that smart. B, I'm very lazy. And C, I've been throwing money away my whole life. Why stop now, B Show? So I've been paying for cable and streaming services since forever's. And the crazy thing is, I watch less and less of it as time goes on, but I don't want to miss out. Videodrome, thank you, Drew Yari. Was it Hail the New Flesh? I don't know, but it's such a great
I think it
ending.
is. Yeah.
But B Show, most people cut that cord to not do this, to not have to pay a big amount of money for all of these little things, because that's what the fuck cable was.
Yeah, and you know what? I remember in like 2000, I'm trying to remember when Netflix first got big, and people kept saying, "Oh, people, you're gonna
Early
not pay for
2000s. Are you
cable."
talking about streaming big or
Yeah,
getting
streaming.
3 DVDs in the mail big?
No, streaming big.
mid 2000s ish, like 10, 9.
Yeah, because I think I was in college at the time or just out, and I was sitting at my aunt's kitchen table at like a family party, and people are talking about how great this is, that streaming is coming along and
Right.
cable is dead. And I'm like, you guys do realize that once Disney gets a big enough platform, they're just going to turn it back into cable and charge you $29.99 a month
Cable.
anyway.
It's
And
cable.
everyone's like, no way, this will never happen. And it's like, that's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
So I hope there's at least ad supported options, because honestly, I dropped my max to ad supported. It's annoying to see commercials, but it was also getting to be like $16 a month, and I've got like 5 other services.
See, I don't pay for Max because I pay for cable, and it's part of my cable. I'm paying Disney Plus has gone up 500%, and it's just
Yeah.
it feels like I have to have that forever now. And Hulu, Hulu's got a lot of good shit. I like Hulu quite a bit
And I
now.
get Disney and Hulu, because doesn't Disney own Hulu anyway?
Yeah,
It's like,
that's why they're able
yeah.
to do it.
So I
Yeah.
get that, but like with HBO, that's I don't know, man. Do
I
you
don't
think that's
know.
a sign of how bad HBO and Discovery are really doing, that they're partnering
Max
with
needs
Disney
more
now?
subscribers. Disney lost quite a few subscribers. I don't know how Hulu does. I've never looked into how Hulu does, but Hulu well, also people use Hulu as a TV platform, right? Because there's that TV platform of Hulu where you get
Hulu
the
Live or
channel.
something like that?
Hulu,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever the fuck it's called. Um, it's hail the new cable, because this is going to happen a lot. For example, I have cable. I had Showtime. I had Paramount Plus, because there's a handful of things I liked on it, and it was less money than a lot of these other things. And then one day, all of my Showtime is now on Paramount Plus, which is a good thing. I'm not complaining, but I already got that freebie show because I pay for the Showtime fucking channel, right? So it's like, and I'm like, oh, I'm doubling up all over the fucking place already. Don't think this is going to stop with this, because this is going to force the stars and the whoever the fucks, and they're going to have to compete with this too, right? The MGMs and all this. They just changed another channel to MGM. I think Stars is called MGM now, by the way. I don't think it's called Stars. I think it's
It
called
might be.
MGM. I'm
It
pretty
might be.
sure. For my pack, I have Verizon, so I have
Well, and you
5.
can get MGM Plus as a kicker or an add-on with Amazon Prime now.
Oh, you can? Which, by the
I
way,
think
went to
so, yeah.
commercials. And it's just like, here we go again. So it's like, I feel like every one of these platforms has that carrot for people. For example, Netflix. Right now, Netflix is blowing up. They blew up with Squid Games last year. They're blowing up with Baby Reindeer right now. They're going to blow up with fucking Stranger Things when that comes back. They're going to add a couple 100,000, if not more, subscribers, right? HBO, guess what's coming on in a few weeks, B-Show? House of the Dragon and all that. So now all these people are going to flock back for that and come back to that, right? And then what about the people that canceled Disney Plus and now they want to see the Star Wars shit, or they got it for the Marvel shit? And it's like, here we go. This is a cycle. Hulu has some very good exclusives too. Like they had Shogun through the FX network, which was probably the best thing I saw all year on television. That was a thing that I had to watch. I was like, fuck it, I'm watching. I need to see this every week. It's episodic television. Prime, same shit with Prime. Prime had Invincible. The Boys is coming back. Prime just had Fallout, which I think was one of the best things of the year so far. So it's like, I feel like when you add all this up, you might not be somebody who loves everything on HBO, but a lot of people want it for House of the Dragon. A lot of people want Disney for the Star Wars shows. A lot of people want Netflix for Stranger Things. This they know this, the way, this is not new. But ultimately, it's cable, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, I just saw recently a commercial for DirecTV, and it was like, oh, DirecTV without the dish? Who would have thought? It's like, it's
Wow.
streaming. Like, talk about being behind the curve on
I
that
used to
one.
have DirecTV. Yeah, I used to have
Yeah.
DirecTV.
I did too. I still have an ugly ass dish on my roof because I haven't taken it down
They took
yet.
it down when they reshingled my roof. I told them
they?
they could take it down. I didn't bring the dish. I brought the boxes with me from Brooklyn to upstate, and they replaced my dish. Yeah, because I was loving DirecTV. It was very inexpensive. I didn't live in an area of Brooklyn where I had to worry about really inclement weather. And then after a few years of upstate winters, it was like, oh, this sucks. And we couldn't combine the internet with it. You had to get like a whole separate internet provider, unlike say a FiOS or something like that. So, or even Cablevision or whatever people have. I don't know what people have all over the country here, but
Spectrum.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is odd because we're a country on the spectrum. Chris Matthews, I just rewatched Living Daylights and License to Kill without paying for them. Yeah, and of course there is the Tubi options and all that stuff for sure. But it'll be interesting to see how much this costs, I'm curious to see what the cost is going forward. And don't forget, people like us have Shudder, or some people have the other Bloody Disgusting channel. Um, and there's people that have foreign language channels that are, that they want to see movies in, their language, or people in their family maybe don't have a good command of the English, so they have foreign language channels that they're paying for. And don't forget, soccer. A lot of people are paying for, certain things for sports. Don't
Yeah.
forget
Doesn't
local
Peacock
sports.
have Premier League or something like that too?
Peacock has the Premier League. Yeah, I see that
And I
advertised
can't
all the
watch
time.
the Tigers without buying fucking Bally Sports and shit because I don't have
I can't
cable.
watch the Mets on a regular basis unless you have Apple. They're on there about once every other week. We forgot about Apple, and it's
Yep.
like, it's the same fucking shit. So yeah, you have cable. You call it streaming. That's really what it comes down to.
Same as it ever was.
Same as it ever was. Speaking of networks and stuff like that, Kevin Feige, the head of the MCU, the man who's really been at the forefront of all of the Marvel properties, whether it was television or the successful films or the not so successful films. Bob Iger is his boss. He's the head of Disney. Bob Iger announced that Marvel is slowing down the old input show. They're calling it the Shaheen Clause. This is where they're only going to make specific.
Talking about the length of movies.
Yeah, no, this is
Slowing
the
it back.
Shaheen Clause. They have a Shaheen Clause. Marvel is now. The MCU is Shaheen's going to run he's going to work for Kevin
Oh, I
Feige.
gotcha.
So many people were complaining about this bubble being burst by Marvel. And of course, that's debatable. We could do 5 hours on that. But one of the things to come out of it was they are going to slow their input down dramatically, show, which I think is a good thing. Do we have that little article there? I just want to see what the actual. I know it's 2 TV shows a year. They will not do more than 2 a year, which I think is good. I don't know what the movie thing was. I was interested in the television shows because of Daredevil next year.
Yeah,
Because
I'm trying
Born
to find
Again.
it. I think it was like 2 and 4. So like two shows.
No more
and 4
than 2
movies.
and 4 movies. That seems like a lot still, because they haven't had a movie all year. So how is that fucking happening?
Yeah.
Well, they
I'll
had
try
that
to
bad
find
Madam
it.
Web. Yeah, so they're only going to have 2 TV shows a year. That's good, right? That's good. That'll take up like, a couple months, and then a reprieve, and then a couple months we'll have another TV show. But I thought it was 3 films. I didn't know it was 4. Seems excessive.
Oh, it might be.
Let's take
Okay,
a
here
look.
we go. So, in order to achieve better results both in reviews and revenues, Iger has reiterated his intention to reduce the number of releases per year, which one be reduced to 2 or 3 movies in cinemas and 2 Disney Plus series per year. So yeah, 2
There we
to
go.
3 and then 2.
3. Okay, 2 to 3. Now, show. Good idea, bad idea?
I don't think it could hurt at this point, because if you have to prioritize which projects go through, one, they're going to get more attention, which means hopefully they're going to be more quality instead of just passing through the fucking conveyor belt and, hey, sprinkle some fan service and do some fucking intersectional feminism, and then we're good. Right. Hopefully it leads to better focus, and I don't know. I'm not sold on Marvel.
Tighter marketing. Yeah, tighter marketing, I think, too. Yeah.
Plus, like, think of it this way. If they have like 4 releases on Disney Plus and 6 movies a year,
Jesus Christ.
like you said, how much can you really absorb and remember what's coming out?
Yes, they called that the Yarsifer experience there. The Jucifer Yarsifer.
Just like a fire hose, give them all the Marvel right to the face.
Yeah, they just everyone in Alpha Flight gets a spinoff show. That's what it's going to be. It can't hurt, right? I mean, look, people were complaining that they oversaturated the market. Clearly, the appetite is not there for a lot of these programs, primarily because they were very message driven and not comic driven. And we're seeing X-Men 97, which is not really doing that. It is pulling literally from the comics and in really sort of bringing that into a cartoon. X-Men 97 is a blockbuster by all accounts. There's no denying it. It is one of the most downloaded things they've ever had. It is one of the most best reviewed things they've ever done. And there's obviously the appetite for that is there. And I also think X-Men 97 is a reason why they're doing this. I guarantee you X-Men 97 was not made for a lot of money. Okay. They didn't pay people a lot of money to do this. And it's paying off big time. And also X-Men 97, and I think a little help from a little movie called Deadpool 3 this year, which is not exclusively their movie. They own it with I think Universal, but they'll get the rub. This is going to cleanse the palate from the She-Hulk's and the Echo and the Miss Marvel. This is in the Madam Web. This is literally B show. This is the sorbet. At the end of the night to make sure that you go home with a good taste in your mouth.
And I hope so. And I see, some comments in the chat. Joe Punches says, that's what I want from Midnight Suns. 2 movies a year, and then they come together. That's the movie of the year. And you can't argue that, because when you had the magic of Infinity War and the Avengers, it was like Iron Man was big, Spider-Man was big. And
Oh
then this
God,
other movie came out, like Black Widow had a
Guardians
spinoff
was
or
big.
whatever.
Yeah, Guardians was big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh shit, here's a big movie like made for all these franchises and they're already over. As opposed to, hey, let's try to put this stuff out to get it over, and then we'll put them all together. And it never really happened.
Right.
So I'm really hoping that, yes, it's tighter, it's more focused, that it's more quality.
Yeah.
And Drew is saying that Universal doesn't have anything to do with Marvel except Hulk, and that Disney owns, I don't know, I thought, wasn't it Sony or someone they had to do?
Sony, they're
Deadpool?
still sharing. Well, they're still sharing the Deadpool. Like Deadpool, I thought they're still sharing it, but I don't know. It could be wrong. I don't know.
Okay.
It's possible. I don't know. But it is going to be a palate cleanser. We're going to get a hard R out of Deadpool. It's going to make a lot of money, and then we're going to segue into. I know the Daredevil Born Again is an R-rated TV show. Punisher will be in it. Like I think what's happening is slowly but surely they're course correcting. Sony Spider-Man, yeah, Sony still has Spider-Man, absolutely, but Marvel has a hand in the Spider-Man movies, clearly.
Right.
I think this is a palate cleanser. I do. I really feel that they're taking a step back. They're not really acknowledging that these things were failures. But I would be hard pressed to think we would get another She-Hulk. I really, it's not necessary, and it wasn't very good. I wanted it to be very good because I've always liked the character, and I liked some of the other stuff. And Daredevil was in it, and
Yeah.
and I thought that girl kind of sucked. I just thought she was kind of shitty. I don't know. She was. I don't want to sound like a douchebag, but she was kind of not really that great looking, and she's kind of, the character kind of sucked. That's not the She-Hulk character that I think people wanted. When I think Brie Larson is done as Miss Marvel, I don't think as Captain Marvel. I don't think you'll ever see that again.
I think the last time someone asked her if she'd do it, she was like, "Why? People don't want me. Why would I come back and do it?" Which is, I guess,
I think that's done. I think
self-aware.
greenlighting shit that people don't care about is over. That's what I think it is. I think they don't have the kind of money to do that anymore. And plus, the appetite's not there. When this R-rated Deadpool, which is going to make fun of itself and the audience as much as anybody else, when that makes a couple $100 million in the first few days, you don't think they're going to stop? You think they're just going to go back to just whatever the fucking internet trend of the year is and make a show around it? No, they're not going to do that. Blade is already going to be a hard R movie. Mia Goth is the fucking villain in it. Daredevil TV show, hard R, super hard R. Punisher, hard R. I think they're realizing that they need to refocus, and it's a good thing. Honestly, they lost a lot of money with some of these movies, from Quantumania to Captain Marvel. Poorly received. I like the Echo TV show because I know the character from Daredevil, but and Daredevil was on it. So I'm a Daredevil apologist, B show, as it's well documented. But I like this focus. I think this is a good thing. I'm concerned about the Captain America movie coming out. Apparently there was a lot of reshoots. That's why they delayed it. There is some concern there about that being a piece of shit. And then we don't know. There's no, what, Emmanuel? There's no plans to make a Hulk. They said that they have no plans to make a standalone Hulk movie again.
Did you guys, speaking of Hulk, did you see the video I sent you where they tested the animatronic Hulk from the original movie before they decided to do CG?
No, you're talking about the one from the previous one, the first one. Oh,
From
you're talking about the Ed
mid
Norton one.
2000s, yeah.
Oh, the guy who directed Crouching Tigers, Hulk.
I think so. Here, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Yeah, not the one with Edward Norton, which is okay. I like that movie. I thought it was fun.
It might have been the one after that.
Yeah, that director signed a poster from my store. The guy who directed that one.
Oh, here we go.
Animatronic Hulk.
It was a set of almost like an exoskeleton, but it's a full size.
Wow.
Watch this.
Oh, wow.
So here's the testing for the Hulk out. It was all practical.
Oh, yeah, 98. Okay.
Yep. And they had like these huge. Here we go.
Good Lord. That looks like a T1000.
Yeah. So it was all practical, mechanical, and then they coat it with foam. Where is it? Here it is. Look at
This is
the Hulk
wild.
hand. Here we go. Check that out.
Oh my God, this could have worked for me. Oh, I'm
How
peeing in my
awesome
pants a
would that
little
have
bit.
been?
Look at this crazy.
So I didn't mean to distract, but I forgot that I shared that, and I thought that was
Wow.
awesome.
Wow. Or they were just going to get Lou Ferrigno again, right? That's really what they should have done. Hey, before we head over to the Patreon, we do want to talk a little bit about this. We've been talking about this movie quite a bit since it's been on our radar for a few months, as you know, we cover a lot of horror. Um, the we did play this trailer possibly on the free. I know we played another version of it for maybe it was on the Bisha, did we play the trailer for this on the Patreon in a violent
Yeah,
nature? We played on the free too, right? Yeah, we did.
I think we played the bootleg one on the Patreon, then we played the actual one on the free.
Oh, Will T, Deadpool was Fox. Thank you, Will T. What's up, Will T? Um, so the screenings have been happening for in a violent nature. For people that aren't familiar with this, this is a first person like Friday the 13th. I'm not going to call it a ripoff because we haven't seen the film, but it's in the spirit of the slasher genre where you are seeing everything almost exclusively from the eyes of the killer. It's supposed to be a pretty big deal. We've talked about this movie quite a bit. Here's the deal. They screened it recently, and some people kind of freaked out, and a woman threw up. And apparently, it's incredibly gory, like really, really gory, like hard R. Um, and this is starting to look like this is going to be a thing, B show. Like I really now again, we haven't seen it. We've only seen the same thing that everyone else has seen, but it's starting to get that kind of press from the screenings, B show, that this is a very, very disturbing movie for people. And that this is just a kill fest. Do we think this is more normies seeing this and getting freaked out, or do you have confidence in this buildup that maybe this is going to end up being one of the premier horror films of the year, and maybe possibly a genre picture going forward?
It might be a surprise hit. Anytime I hear this person vomited or fainted, it takes me back to the Exorcist when they thought the movie was cursed and put that out
Right.
there. So I don't know if it's PR. I would think that like hardcore horror fans watching this wouldn't be vomiting. So it's got to be just normal people going to check it out.
But these are screenings though, Bisha. Why would normies go see a pre-screening weeks in advance?
Well, this was a Chicago Critics Film Festival, so
Okay,
I would
so that's
imagine that
but
it's
that's film fanatics. I mean, that's not a mom and pop. We don't go to these things.
No, but it could be people who are like screening art house pictures and stuff like that, seeing this too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure how that all works, but honestly, I don't see hardcore horror people vomiting.
No.
So it has to be people who aren't used to this sort of thing. And the review I heard online was that this was kind of sold as a slasher, backwoods, Jason the Burning type of movie.
Right.
And it's more along the lines of a splatter film like a Terrifier or something like that.
Wow. Well, I'm excited, but without the comedy, because Terrifier is got a lot of comedy in there. Kind of,
Yeah.
there is a lot of comedy to Terrifier. I mean, art is funny. This guy doesn't look very funny to me. I
No.
don't see comedy in this B show.
No, not at all. Except that mask kind of looks a little funky, but
Yeah,
also
I like the
terrifying
mask.
at the same time.
I like the mask. Yeah, I mean, do we think this is going to deliver? It's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Let's see. Rotten Tomatoes rating. Oh, fucker. Let's see.
Currently,
Yeah. Oh, what the fuck is this?
I don't know. Are you transitioning? What's going on there? I love the name In a Violent Nature. I just think it's so cool. Bisha, is that 5 stars or am I making that up?
Looks like it. 95%. Only 39
What?
reviews, but 95% critic score.
Wow. That's impressive.
Okay,
Holy
here's
fuck.
from Cody Derricks at Next Best Picture. It isn't an easy film to take in, but for audiences willing to lean into this sickening energy, it promises to be a horrifyingly memorable experience.
Wow. 95, B. And it's an hour and a half. Perfect. Oh, Shaheen's going to be so happy.
Yeah. Dolores Quintana in A Violent Nature is a slasher you have been waiting for, enthralling, innovative with a sense of humor. Oh, okay.
Oh,
And
wow.
possessing an aura of the grave.
Interesting. So maybe this is the new Art the Clown.
Possibly.
Maybe. Not to be outdone. You got your work cut out for you there. Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
Interesting. What does that top critic say? I said something about the gross.
Oh,
Like
sorry.
apparently there's some gross out shit in there. No, it's okay.
Yeah. Kelly McClure from Salon.com. The grossest, most elaborate kill scenes I've ever seen in my life all fit seamlessly, where in other films, a similar hodgepodge could fall flat amidst the chaos. This feels classic and completely new all at once. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, look, I'm sold. I'm going opening weekends. I think this could be it, Bisha. I think this might be a movie we're talking about. I feel like, I'm saving this for the solo show I'm doing next week only on Patreon. But I'm going to talk about the incredibly slow start of quality cinema so far as we move into May and go into the spring. I expected a lot more. I at this point, my favorite movie is Dune 2.
Wow.
And yeah, like I don't even know if I have a favorite horror film this year. I don't know. I gotta check some shit out. Nothing's really blowing me away. Cleric of Chaos. Oh, you're gonna be in NYC in October? That's nice. How are you, Cleric? He's training to do some MMA.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Oh, wow. Look at this. Thanks for chiming in late, Cleric of Chaos.
And
But,
backwards Baron Corbin jumped in late too. So shout
Oh,
out
I
to
didn't
you.
say, and so did Will T got in there a little bit late, I think, as well. So listen, people, we have so much to get to on the Patreon that we're going to run over there. So if you're not a part of the Patreon, this is a great weekend to get in there because you're going to get quite a bit from the most recent Q&A coming up this weekend. Next week, I'm dropping a solo show. Then a few weeks later, we're dropping another Q&A. But Bisha, don't we have a special plug we want to give before we get to the regular plugs?
Yes, our buddy Fatty316 of the Bayou Geeks. They're going to do a 40 years of Transformers special live May 11th. I think it's a Saturday at 7 p.m. Let me make sure that's the right day.
That's Saturday, 11 p.m. That's my prime high and drunk hour.
Yes, this Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central, live on YouTube, 40 years of Transformers, and we know how much that means to Fatty. So
yeah, he's a huge
out.
Transformers fan. Huge fan. So let's plug some of the other panels. We got Deathmatch Outlaws. Let's plug the Drew Yari Experience. I like that guy. Cassette Classics 86 on YouTube, and of course, the Down on the Thundercast. Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle. Necromaniacs podcast. You should be checking them out each and every week. The Inhuman Experience podcast, and of course, the return of Ringsiders Wrestling. My good friends from the UK. I'll be joining them, I think, soon. Got to check in with those guys. Mojo and Dirk's Most Dastardly Show, and of course, the Garden of Doom. And then we have the Old Guy Metalcast, our good friend Ronald Anderson, and his lovely clothing company, funkbetty.com. You really should be checking that funkbetty.com out. Get yourself some nice warm weather clothes for the spring and summer. Cherry Jesus on YouTube and his band Kaiser. Of course, our good friend Sam Hoyos and his band, the Playing Dead, and the Red River Podcast. Sam puts out quality stuff all the time. The Bayou Geeks, that's Fateh 316, who we just mentioned previously. Don't forget to tune in for his 40th anniversary Transformer show this Saturday. I believe, 7 p.m. Central, and that's the May 11th.
Correct.
The Midnight Mass Creature Cast, good friends over there, the High Marks Podcast, and of course the Weekly Detour. That's our pals, Anthony Allison, his pal Teddy, and Guns and Geeks Podcast. Be sure you got anything cooking?
No, not right now. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with the channel because I don't want to just keep reacting to stuff. We do a lot of horror talk on here. I don't want to duplicate. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So subscribe to bshowbrian.com.
Yeah.
You
can always do B Show Brian channel on YouTube. Of course, you also need to subscribe to Planet Mondo. That's Shaheen's channel. He's working on some stuff, I believe.
Yes.
And of course, you need to check out, you got to join us on YouTube, see how much I'm aging. That's always a fun thing. See how old I look these days now that I'm 107. Which is a which is a Twitter 65. I guess I'm 65 now on Twitter.
That's what people say,
Yeah, that's what people say. But hey, guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I'm glad to be back. Thanks to everybody for chilling in the chat. Thanks to everybody for supporting the Patreon. And if you haven't really consider supporting the Patreon. We have so much stuff there, and we're always adding to it all the time. And we have such good chats there, and the Q&A in particular, I think if you're not a Patreon subscriber, would really be something you would enjoy. And we also sometimes do exclusive themes only for the Patreon. And of course, every one of us does occasional solo shows. B-Show's been really holding that down, covering the WWE lawsuits. But we got a dick ton to get to in Patreon. But we'll see you back with a full squad next week here on Spitball Media.
Peace.